Oh, no, I'm getting the wrong things. He got the wrong box up and everything. You know what time it is. Still wrong box. Hold on, three-person shot.
That sure look
I know,
wow.
right? I know. Now it's there. We go. You're listening to the Urban Sports Scene. I'm Wole here, and my homie Ray Jeezy, and we are part of Empire Media. That's empiremedia.com, and you can also check us out on our website, which is www.urbansportscene.com. What's going on, Ray?
You already know what it is, bro. I'm excited to talk about the Commanders' final roster. If this is the final roster, what looks to be shaping up is the final roster, and how you just going at your Commander peers is interesting to me. You know, you always talk about the dumb fans and all this. You're part of that group. Just remember that.
I'm part of that group. What you talking about? I mean, I'm pretty much real. I don't know what you talking about, bro. I'm real. Ray, you glitching up, Ray? What's going on, bro? Ray, Ray, are you glitching, Ray? Are you glitching? Is that my Wi-Fi or your Wi-Fi? Can you hear me? I think I lost Ray.
I can hear you. I'm frozen though. Sorry.
Okay, that's the G. Okay, I'm about to say anyway. Hey, anyway, I mentioned before we get into all that, let me get into the. You good now? Are you good now? All right, I think you're good. I think you're on a delay. It's all good though. You know what? We're done with the internet. We can work around it. I mentioned your Ray's talking about the Commander fans and whatnot. Before we get into all that talk, hey, let's get into the particulars real quick. Hey, make sure so you can subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio. Just search the Urban Sports Scene. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, just make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just hit that red subscribe button. Also, like this video. We try and get to 800. I think right now we're at 731. So I'm trying to get 800. So let's race this process up. Let's get there. Let's get to it. Don't forget to tweet us at Urban Sports Scene. Hit us up on IG at Urban Sports Scene, or like our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. Also join our Urban Sports Scene Facebook group. Search Urban Sports Scene, sports bloggers, sports podcasters, and sports debates. All right, let's get into our tradition. The pregame. Here's what we have on tap. We'll have Emmy Award winning sports personality, Commanders reporter, and Holder Sports own Lou Holder will join us to talk about the Washington Commanders making cuts to get to the 53-man roster and the Commanders trading away Jahan Dotson to the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's waste no time. Let's get right into it. Let's have our guy Lou on right now. I want to put him in the box. I'll make sure it looks proper because I know I had a little issue initially. All right, here we go. Definitely. Where is? I'm having problems. There we go. I knew I was gonna get it right. There we go. Touchdown. I got it right. And it's a perfect box too. What's going on, Lou?
Hey, what's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
We good. We had a little technical difficulty. I think, Ray, you good now?
Do I look good?
You good. You straight. You ain't glitching no more. You was on a big delay. I don't know what was happening.
Paul is gonna be head of my fan club, bro, because he always.
Why? What happened? Okay. All right. I feel you. All right. So Lou, let's get into it, man. First off, in terms of the cuts and whatnot, were there any? I want to start there. Were there any surprises for you?
So surprises. I mean, I think throughout, a lot of people would say that KJ Henry being cut was probably one of those that we probably a little surprised. Mm-hmm. Baptiste beating him out, John Baptiste beating him out. But again, when you start thinking about how this head coach and how this GM is building and changing things around. I mean, this team won 4 games last year, so there's nobody on here that really should be saying to themselves, you know, I'm untouchable. And that's Allen, Payne, Terry. At the very beginning, they were like, look, if you ain't on board, hey, look, we can go in a different direction. But they wanted to be on board, and that helped a lot where we're going. But when you get this franchise and you've only won 4 games, nobody's really sitting there saying that, hey, look, I should be totally safe. So Dan Quinn talked about changing the culture, and Adam Peters talked about changing the culture. What this initial 53-man roster is telling me is that they were serious about what they're talking about, and they're also very serious about evaluating all of Ron Rivera's history here in Washington, D.C. That last draft class, of the 7 players drafted, right, only 2 remain.
Yeah.
Only 2 remain. And if you think back, it's like over like the years that he's been here, like there was like 33 players drafted by Ron Rivera, only 12 remain, so there's just a lot of just scrubbing. I mean, Dan Quinn had to say what he had to say as far as, there's no my guys or their guys, but he was evaluating, and they are trying to turn over things. So when I look at this roster, I'm saying to myself, you know what? This is what Washington wanted for so long, and it's been so bad for so long that when it gets to a point where it's actually a football run operation, it's almost like surreal. You don't know what to do with yourself because adults are in the room making decisions, and they're still not done making decisions, and it's just really, really refreshing to see where they're going to go at the end.
Taj said Ron's draft record mirrors that of a last place Yahoo's fantasy league owner.
There were a lot of issues there. There were a lot of issues there. I mean, but it's and honestly, that draft class, Quan Martin is the only one that I'm actually really still excited about. Emmanuel Forbes is still kind of like a gray area.
For a lot of people.
If Emmanuel Forbes wasn't drafted where he was and drafted later on, you'd be like, okay, but he was drafted very, very high. And it's going to be interesting how much of a leash and how much wiggle room did they give this individual before they move on from him too.
I do kind of want to tackle something that you said, though. In terms of the overall, the image of the cuts, what do you think that this represented? I know you stated that obviously they wanted to have their own guys in, but what does it say about where this regime is going? Where this regime of Adam Peters and Dan Quinn, where are they going with it? Like, in your opinion?
We said it. They try to turn things around. That's exactly that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
That's what this roster says to me. That Dan Quinn and Adam Peters looked at the roster. They invited a whole bunch of people to camp, but they were already thinking about where they're going to go. I mean, with this Noah Brown, this wide receiver that they just I mean, you knew that they were playing some chess here. You knew that they were doing other things when Jahan Dotson and Ridgeway, and we'll get to all of that. But that they have capital, they have draft capital, they have cap space, they have all this stuff because Adam Peters was a good steward and not blowing it all during the draft or doing things like that. He was waiting, right? And he's still not done. He's still not done. And that's what it represented to me, that if you're actually going to want somebody like Adam Peters to be in charge of the football operations, well, you should be thankful that he's doing something, because the culture change that has been talked about in this franchise for years really was falling on deaf ears because of the owner that was there. Now there is a new owner and a new GM and a new head coach and a new offensive coordinator. I mean, everything is new, and culture can actually change, but you got to turn over this roster, and it's going to be they're not done. They're doing what they have to do with this particular roster. But again, as I told you last time I was on your program, it's year 2 and year 3 and year 4 where you're actually building something that will sustain itself. And that's what happened in San Francisco.
Taj.
Ray, yes, go ahead, Ray.
I can't with Taj, but Taj is right on point because he brought up a name that has been trending. 2 names have been trending in DC, if y'all can hear me. 2 names. One is Keith Lee. I know, Lou, you've seen that. and the second is KJ Henry. But according to Taj, people are tired of hearing about KJ Henry. People are upset, though, for real, that he was cut. He's now with the Cincinnati Bengals. Lou, what was your thoughts on KJ Henry not making the team? Was that a surprise to you?
It was a surprise. He had a pretty good camp. He had that play in the last game that, you thought. But again, it's competitive. It's competitive now, and they're seeing other things that has caught their eye. moving forward. And I can't really fault him. I mean, there's stuff like that happening all over the league. Players that you thought that there's no way that oh wow, surprises. Because again, if competition is what was said all throughout the offseason, that competition, surprisingly, there's some surprises there that the competition didn't fall that way. But that doesn't mean that KJ Henry's not a good player. I mean, he's going to ball out in Cincinnati. But it's happening here. Noah Brown, I mean, this wide receiver,
Speak on it.
I mean, this wide receiver, you're thinking about why he was even available. Well, because he wasn't going to be a number 2 with the Texans. You brought in Stephon Diggs. You got, all their parts there. And he has history with Dan Quinn. That's something I'm also seeing too. They laughingly, people call him the Cowmanders. But people who had history in Dallas with Dan Quinn, Tyler Biadasz, Dorrance Armstrong, now this Noah Brown. I mean, you could see this wide receiver saying to himself, you know what? I could be the number 2 here. Mm-hmm. I could actually be the number 2 here. Right. So I think that's those people that have fallen off from other teams. That's the exciting part when you have somebody like Adam Peters and Dan Quinn who know football and whatever, that once those cuts happen, they kept saying it's the initial 53-man roster because they already knew that they were doing some things. And who knows, they might not be done.
Yeah, Paul said he's a number 2. Well, I don't think that's a given off the rip because you still got to earn it. Just like Lou's talking about, you just because you're coming from a different team and you're familiar with Dan Quinn.
But numbers wise, already he's coming in.
Yeah, 500 yards.
He's coming in with more productivity than De'Ami Brown. He's coming in with more productivity than Zacchaeus. So right there, besides Terry McLaurin, if things trend the way that they want them to trend, he's going to be that number 2 that can be alongside Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, my only thing is that when you're not working with the whole team throughout the whole camp, it's just hard to just go in and unless you are a true number 1 wide receiver. It's typically difficult just to transition to be on that roster and being already a fit at number 2. Especially, this is a whole different offense with Cliff Kingsbury. This is not the same offense that even Noah Brown is accustomed to. So there's going to be some a little transitional phase in the process. It's not.
No, he's going to be the number 2 receiver.
I see. I bet you won't be number 2. I bet you won't start opening.
I'm not saying he's going to start number 2, but the plan with that player, if you're going to get that player, is by week 3, 4, 5, whatever, he's supposed to be the number 2.
Okay. So what if? So what if our
nothing?
What if De'Ami has a good first game? Is he number 2? If he's number 2,
how tall is De'Ami Brown?
6'2".
What was De'Ami Brown's productivity last year?
No, I agree with you. I'm agreeing with you in terms of body of work. I'm just saying I'm playing devil's advocate. Say De'Ami has a good game 1. Do you bench him?
No, you don't bench him.
I guess that's what I'm saying. Like if he has, obviously Cliff Kingsbury likes De'Ami to a certain extent to still have him on his roster because De'Ami, if the trend was going from last year, he shouldn't even be on this roster, to be honest with you. So there's something they like about De'Ami.
And there's something they like about Noah Brown.
I know. I agree with you. I am agreeing with you.
Sometimes you got to stop playing devil's advocate and call it what it is. This guy was brought in here because they have hopes that he is big. His production, they're talking about a 2-game stretch last year where this dude was putting up crazy numbers, right? Yeah. So if he goes in there and competes, I mean, who knows what happens? That 3 wide receiver sets. And I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But I think that they wanted somebody that definitely Jahan Dotson was not, that could come in there and be a strong number 2, right? So at this point, De'Ami Brown, this guy hasn't even gotten here yet. De'Ami Brown and Zacchaeus are on notice. You still need to compete. You still need to compete. Just because you made your 53-man roster don't mean that things are safe with you, because we are bringing in people and we probably bringing in more people.
No, I agree with that. I do agree with that. I do like, in terms of that thought process, in terms of what you stated about these dudes now have they on notice. Like,
and the devil's advocate is now the tide is now raising for everybody. Everybody's going to raise their game.
Yeah, I'm with
That's
that.
the devil's advocate. That, you know what, if De'Ami Brown plays well, you know, and what the great thing about this that a lot of people are missing, right, is that they are adding depth to this roster for November and December, just like San Francisco did when injuries went down, when Brock Purdy even got into the game. That's because they had depth. This franchise has not had depth for the longest time. So when the one person gets hurt, there's nobody behind that person, right? You have no idea. Is Terry McLaurin going to stay healthy the entire year? You would want him to, but what happens when he doesn't? There's your devil's advocate right there. What happens when somebody goes down, right? Do you have somebody who is capable where you do not miss a beat? Here's what's happened the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years in Washington. When somebody goes down, they missing 2 and 3 and 4 beats at a time, right? Can't have that. And Adam Peters is building that, and Dan Quinn is building that above everybody who's a starter. There's somebody behind them that if something happens, the productivity won't go down so much that you now have a lost season. And it still is only year number 1.
It's called depth, Lou. And you said it's adults in the building. It's a changing of guard. I love it. You got to come to Green Turtle when we do our live show, Lou. Yeah. They say
depth is something that, you know, the people who were playing late in January and February, it's the depth that they've had. It's the depth that they've had. You know, you praying that your quarterback and your wide receiver and your pass rushers and everybody stays healthy. But the fact of the matter is, in this NFL game, how many times do all those stars align? It's very rare. It's very rare. So they're thinking, hey, look, put this guy in here. He has history with Dan Quinn, this wide receiver, Noah Brown. He has history, and then put him together with that, and we'll see what happens.
No, I'm with it. I like the depth, though. I like competition. So it's all about sparking competition. So I'm cool with that. Like, nothing should be given to anybody.
Not with a 4-win team.
There you go. I agree with that.
But you are what you say, that you are what your record says. And we all know that the spirit of the law and the letter of the law, that there was games that this team was just outcoached and should have won with talent, right? But at the end of the day, they won 4 games, right? You're judged off of wins and losses in life and in sports, and they won 4 games. So with that being said, turn the whole thing over. Turn the whole thing over.
No, I'm with it.
Like, you can't do it all in 1 year, because, again, that's been the problem. The quick fix. Let's turn everything around, whatever. You know, I caution the Washington Commanders fan base. I caution you not to look so much to the Texans and their meteoric rise of 1 year last year. And I caution it look more of like maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars that first year with Doug Peterson, where they were like 8-8 and things of that. I mean, you need to have that type of reality check that this is not a team that's going to be going to the NFC Championship in year number 1. And there's nothing wrong with that. You got to build with what they have, and this is what's happening. So that's my take on that.
I love it, Lou. I love it. All right, so as you can see on the bottom, we have the roster scrolling down. Just kept 6 safeties in Jeremy Chin, Quan Martin, Percy Butler, Derek Forrest, Jeremy Reeves, and Tyler Owens. Did you think they would keep 6 safeties?
So at first I said, you know what? Little surprising, and 12, I think it's 11 or 12 defensive backs in all. Yeah. With Dominic Hampton, I think it's 11 or 12. But again, this is a defensive head coach, and brought in Witt too. I mean, Dallas, when you look at that, I mean, you got to think about what the key is or what they're really concentrated on, and they want depth in that secondary. That secondary was a problem last year. I mean, a huge problem. So you need numbers there. You absolutely need numbers there. So I think that it's because of it, the defensive head coach. That's another thing I saw on the roster, that it's really Dan Quinn driving a lot of this stuff. He knows that DBs are going to be needed. He knows that safeties are going to be needed. He knows all of that. And that's what that shows me, is that this is a defensive head coach, and he's putting those pieces in place because he knows what's happening, not in September and October, guys, in November and December when you need depth. That's why all those guys are on the roster right now.
Also, folks in the chat, if you got a question for Luke, put it in the chat. We'll display the question as well. I think for me, like, I wasn't surprised they had that many safeties because, truth be told, like, the rest of the safeties are probably the strong suit in terms of secondary, and there's a lot of weak links that folks were just stretching to keep on the team at cornerback, to a point where I was like, I wouldn't. For instance, a lot of people were talking about Defoe, and I'm like, I get the worry about Defoe, but some of the cornerbacks that your folks were thinking about keeping over Defoe weren't worth it. Do you agree with that?
I mean, again, I think a lot of people are splitting hairs with some of that talent in that secondary.
Yeah,
it was all bad.
Mm-hmm.
It was all bad. You know, Benjamin St. Juste, I think he regressed. Defoe, he got injured. I think he regressed. Emmanuel Forbes, let us move on. So there's just so many question marks out there that I'm still not sold on our secondary.
Mm-hmm.
But what I am sold on is that unit that's in front of them, that a lot of people, I will tell you this, I've told you this in person, and I will tell you this. One of the biggest things that this franchise did was bringing in Bobby Wagner at linebacker.
Yep.
I see London Fletcher all over again. Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu, that now stabilizes a key piece of that defense. Because if you pour true serum into Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, they were frustrated because, you know what? There was no one backing the line. Mm-hmm. There was no one backing the line. And having a future Hall of Famer, before he even steps on the field, I don't even know if you caught it. We caught it in the press box on Sunday, but he was talking to Jaden Daniels, and you could just see that, look, this is a guy that he doesn't even have to say much. Just his presence alone is going to keep this team in football games because that's going to help everything. And that was the frustrating part over the last couple of years, that you had Ron Rivera, who played with that Bears defense and was a linebacker there. And you had Jack Del Rio, who's a linebacker. And the linebacker unit was the worst part of the defense. Mm-hmm. So now bringing in Bobby Wagner and having Frankie Louvu in there, I mean, they thought so highly of Frankie Louvu that he was one of the few that they gave a multi-year deal to, right? So they want this guy to learn from Bobby Wagner, but also teach the people behind him. I mean, those two together, I'm excited. I mean, besides the obvious and Jaden Daniels, I think I'm more excited to see what this linebacker group is going to do and how it's just going to permeate through the entire unit. I think I'm more excited to see that because I saw what it was like when London Fletcher came in here, right? Mm-hmm. Iron Man never missed a game, but there was just that calming presence that somebody was calling the plays on defense. We didn't have that. They didn't have that. And it lost them games. I saw it firsthand how it lost them games. So if that unit can step up and be there, I think the secondary is going to be better. I think that pass rush is going to be better. I think people are overlooking the importance of Bobby Wagner to his entire defense and honestly the entire team.
I got a question from Taz about the linebackers. Actually, although the linebacker position has gotten better talent wise, the depth is thin. We are asking a lot of Wagner to play a lot and stay healthy. Can you see the team making another move there?
I think they're going to mask certain things. I don't know how they're going to be using Jamin Davis. They said edge, but he could drop back in coverage. Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. You don't want to put too much on Bobby Wagner, but at the end of the day, Frankie Louvu is there. There's other things going on. I think that they are okay with the linebacker. You know what really hurt? Jordan McGee going down. I think that he was going to be, and he still is. I mean, you don't know if he's done for the year. I mean, it was a significant knee injury. a leg injury that he had. But I just feel that other people are going to step up. And you're absolutely right. You don't want to overtax Bobby Wagner, but I think just his presence on the field is just going to, permeate some things. But you're right. They're still there. You could consider them to be thin there, but I don't think that in year number one, I'm happy where they are with it. I'm happy that he's there versus him not.
Mm-hmm. I know. I totally agree with you. I've been wanting Bobby Wagner for the last couple of years, to be honest with you. Mike said, "Do you think we will get a corner or two? Off the waiver and possibly another tackle?"
That's a good one. I think maybe a tackle. But Ridgeway went to New Orleans so they could have room for Brown.
Yep.
So I don't know. I can't really say 100% if they're going to make more moves there. But I do think it's with Adam Peters. What I do know, it's going to be a fluid situation. And I think that's the exciting part about it. I am a little shaky about our corners. So that's one thing that I would say, that they might be looking for somebody. But if you wanted to tell me corner over D tackle, I would say I would be looking for a corner there.
I think he's talking about tackle. I think he's probably talking about tackle, like an offensive tackle. I think he's talking about offensive tackle.
What did you say, offensive tackle?
He just said tackle. I'm guessing. I want to, because they have a lot of D tackles, so I'm guessing offensive tackle.
Okay.
They have a lot of
absolutely. I think that if I'm getting that correct, I apologize. Yeah. If I'm getting that correct, that offensive line is still going to be a work in progress, because again, that's the key position that if somebody goes down, you can't have your whole deck of cards going down. Yeah. And that's been the problem, that they start off with, this could be halfway decent, and then somebody gets hurt, and then people are moving around. So yes, if it's offensive tackle, absolutely. And again, the maturation and the rise of Brandon Coleman is going to be everything. Yeah. If he is what they say he should be, that's going to answer a lot of questions. But if he's not, here we go. It's going to be a work in progress. I mean, I do like Biotish.
Okay.
I do like Wiley when he came back. I just feel that there's going to be that chemistry there. But again, I'm thinking of more of November and December, where people obviously get hurt. And what are you going to do? Where's the depth? And that's one place that there's not enough depth. We all can say that there's not enough depth on offensive line.
Not at all. And
you gotta have trade partners though. Mm-hmm. Again, you have, and we'll talk about this more, I know, with Jahan Dotson and some things like that. You have to have trade partners. Yeah, you want to do a lot of stuff, but if there's no other team that's willing to trade with you, well, you gotta kind of wait it out and see how you're going to package it, what you're going to do, what you're going to get in the next year's draft. You got to hold on, and you got to know that they're doing the best that they can to acquire players, but sometimes you just don't have the trade partner.
Yeah, I agree. I do want to tap into something you said before I get to the next question from one of the folks in the chat. So a lot, because you've been in camp more than me, and but a lot of other reporters are like really high on Brandon Coleman. Like, so a lot of folks have stated that he's the second best offensive lineman on the team. I want to know your opinion from what you saw of him. What was your thoughts on him?
He's a rookie with potential.
Okay.
And I see what they saw in him, and he's quick. He's he's the real deal. But he's still a rookie. He's still a rookie. Again, rookies are going to make mistakes, and rookies are going to have to figure things out. But that's a massive man. That's a massive man. Right. And so is Johnny Newton's a massive man too. Lord have mercy. Those two have impressed me with their size. Yeah, you saw them and you saw their clips and everything like that. But going out to training camp and going out to Commander's Park and seeing those two individuals up close, my goodness. Johnny Newton is a grown bleep man. He's going to be a problem. He's going to be a serious problem. And Brandon Coleman, he's got that size and that girth, and he's quick. He's quick on his feet. So the potential is there, and that's what I love. That's what I love, that there is potential.
All right, so let me go back to one of the questions from one of the viewers. Ken Harris said, "Lou, is Cade York really the answer at kicker?"
Sure, for now.
Good answer, Lou. Good answer, Lou. I'm gonna give you the Family Feud. Good answer, Lou.
For week one, sure.
Good answer.
Lou, speaking of kicker, offensive line, the defensive backfield, which group are you most concerned about heading into this season out of those three groups?
The offensive line.
Mm.
It will always be the offensive line. I mean, I guess, again, this franchise has spoiled a lot of us.
Yes.
Right. We all grew up with the Hogs. I know what the offensive line and how important it is. Timmy Smith. I mean, there's just so many people who ran through holes because that offensive line was just it was a unit. It was a unit of just pure fun to watch. And it hasn't been that way in forever. Mm-hmm. And it's going to definitely concern me because now you have another shot at a franchise changing quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I do not want to see him running around. I don't. The difference between Jaden Daniels and Robert Griffin III is that Robert Griffin III was a track star playing quarterback. Right? This is actually a quarterback that sits in the pocket, does not want to run first. And the numbers that he put up in the SEC and the Heisman Trophy, they're all there. They're all there. But I do not want to see him running because all I keep thinking is how Haloti Ngata got a piece of Robert Griffin III's knee and it was over.
Shredded.
It was over. I don't want him running around. I don't want him running for his life. I want him to be able to sit back there and find these weapons, and it all starts with the offensive line. So, Ray, you could ask me this today. You could ask me this tomorrow. You could ask me this next month. You could ask me this next year. I will always say the offensive line concerns me.
You're getting mixed reviews in the chat. Some people concerned about the corners and defensive backfield, but nobody's concerned about kicker. I find that interesting. So, excellent answer because you want to keep what is now the face of your franchise upright. But moving on a little bit, you were at what is now known as Northwest Field with the new amenities for the last preseason game. And it's interesting because some people seem to stand out. I'm not going to say the name, y'all. Rhymes with DJ. But anyway, who helped themselves in that preseason game, in your opinion, Lou, that last preseason game against the Patriots?
Well, he gone. Martavius Bryant. He gone.
Hey, yo.
He gone. And I don't think. I mean, honestly, I know who hurt himself was Cole Turner.
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
I don't know how many people helped themselves, but I know who hurt themselves, and we saw it play out with what happened with the practice squad and. Again, it's just fascinating how this team, although they said they're evaluating everybody, they looked at Ron Rivera's players and been like, yo, nah. All of them. Emmanuel Forbes and Quan Martin, all that are left.
You want
to talk about distance yourself from
I know, right? That's wild.
Braden Daniels gone. Stroberg gone. KJ gone. Andre Jones gone. I mean, wow. So I think that I don't know how many people helped themselves, but I know who hurt themselves.
Adam Peters is really him, Lou. He is really him. I mean, you saw when Martavius Bryant caught that touchdown, the way the sideline went off. Adam Peters dapped him up. But it's like the brother that comes home from prison. That's your man. Everybody has the coming home party for him, and it's like, okay, who he staying with? And everybody like, oh, he can't stay with me. And that's what happened to Martavius Bryant. It's like, all right, bro.
I actually think
touchdown. And now he's on the practice squad.
Yeah, I actually think that Adam Peters and Dan Quinn already knew.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many people actually helped themselves because I think their mind was already made up.
We said that, Wole.
Before they even entered into the stadium. I think their mind was almost, I don't think anybody really stood out and helped themselves to a point that it already wasn't decided in their heads. I mean, these people are playing and thinking 3-4 steps ahead. I actually think that they were looking at Noah Brown and what's going to happen next. I mean, these people are playing at another level, which is great. Watching this unfold is actually fun. It's actually fun to see a football mind that everybody wanted, but he wanted to come here. Everybody wanted him, but he wanted to come here. And it's just interesting and I'm not going to agree with everything that he does.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's almost when your parents feed you vegetables and you're just like, I don't want them, but it's good for you.
So why? And we said that. Well, remember we've done a ton of shows lately, and we said we pretty much thought that they had their minds made up. So why play Defoe and Jamin so long in that preseason game if you knew they were gonna make the roster anyway? What were you trying to see from them? Was that the coaching staff? I wonder.
Maybe a mental check. Maybe a mental check. We saw it with Jahan. He played him. Maybe a mental check. How are you gonna, again, this team won 4 games last year. So they try. I mean, football is sometimes getting in players' heads and finding out, can you handle this? Do we need you here? How much people play in preseason. I think the only time that it really, really stood out is when we saw Jahan Dotson play more than anybody else. At that point, you're just like, something's and the reason why is because he was such a high pick. Defoe wasn't a high pick.
Yeah, he wasn't. That's true.
And Defoe wasn't a high pick. These people, this roster don't mean nothing. I mean, they're evaluating this roster and saying, you know what? This doesn't mean nothing to me. You got to earn this. And Defoe was hurt last year.
Good stuff, Eric. Good stuff, Eric. I see you. Sales pitch. That's dope. I like that.
Sales, yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm seeing these chat things late. So yep. I agree with that.
So Paul, I guess not Paul. Yeah, Paul, I'll put this out. Paul says, I think Wally should have been the third back. Do you agree, Lou?
It's a good one.
I liked Wally a lot, but but it is. I didn't say a lot of.
I'm not mad with what they have.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm not mad with what they have.
You got Timothy Park agrees with you. He says, I think Lou is more worried about the O-line depth, which I would agree. I
mean, because I've seen it. Mm-hmm. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it. I mean, let's go back. Trent Williams, Brandon Sheriff, Morgan Moses. I mean, it's always been an issue, but when Trent was there, you always knew you had one player that you could count on, right? Yep. Went sour, gone. Brandon Sheriff, he was actually, a lot of people were torn about him. That. He was,
he was all pro. He was all pro.
I didn't have any problem with him.
Yeah.
There's nobody on this roster, on this offensive line, that is going to Pro Bowl status. Or if they had Hawaii still, they would be going to Hawaii. So with that being said, and you have Jaden Daniels there, it's going to be my concern. And I think I know Adam Peters and I know Dan Quinn are saying the same thing, that, hey, look, as soon as we can, we need to get more and more depth to keep this investment upright. Upright. So, that secondary is always going to be an issue. But if you have to put if you have to put true serum into me, would you rather have a unit that's protecting your quarterback or the other? And I will always say the quarterback is the most important player on the field. In professional sports, they touch the ball every offensive play, right? And if you can't protect him, but again, now you're actually seeing, and it's just fascinating to me. Now you're actually seeing how talented and how changing, how franchise changing and how league changing Sean Taylor was. Sean Taylor masked so many issues back there that it was just, he could play anywhere. It's very rare that you have somebody like that. So I always going to look at that unit and say, you know what, there's always going to be issues there. But I think that with Dan Quinn and I think with Joe Witt, I think that they're going to be able to figure out and mask some coverages and things of that nature. What you can't mask is the health of your offensive line. And again, if you can't protect your quarterback and you can't get to the other team's quarterback, you're not playing in January and February. So that's how I always feel, that offensive line, until they start bringing in, and that's what I'm encouraged about. I think Adam Peters is thinking about that every day. How are we going to get more and more people in here that are going to the Allegrettis? How are we going to get more and more people in here to protect that quarterback, which allows him to find the tight end group, which is another group I didn't think they were going to keep for. And I didn't think that Yankoff was going to be the one that was going to be on the roster. But kudos to him and kudos to Tyler Owens, these two undrafted free agents that made the roster. Kudos to them. I mean, that's what it's all about. The competition, and Dan Quinn said it. He said Commanders style players. So that's fascinating that those two made the team. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
Luke Ken said, should we be jumping on the Luke McCaffrey hype train?
His last name is McCaffrey,
so that's about it, right?
And he's got the cerebral thing down, but he's also still a rookie too. I think they're going to, again, we had a fun exchange the last time I was with you. Look, Danny Amendola, Justin Edelman, who are we talking about? All those 50 receivers of a different skin color, put him in there, and he's going to be that person. He's going to be that safety valve. He's going to be in there. I'm excited to see what he does, but I am not going to overhype him because I think it's unfair to him. He's not Christian McCaffrey. He's not Ed McCaffrey. He's Luke McCaffrey, right? So I think I think that's what we do as fans, which is short for fanatic. We see things and we just go to a different level, right? I'm more excited about Ben Sinnott than I am Luke McCaffrey.
It's DC, Lou. Come on now, you know what we do.
No, it's not just DC. It's the NFL.
But we always
they're doing the same thing in Philly, the same thing in Dallas, the same thing all over the place. People are overhyping, and definitely if you have a name that has been
Facts.
Definitely if you had a name that has been around the league.
That's my point. That's my point. We had Brent Price here, didn't we? We had Harvey Grant. We had Byron Westbrook. We never get the actual guy. We always get the brother. That's my point. It's a DMV thing. I love Harvey Grant too, by the way, but he wasn't hurt. So I'm just saying, I know him personally, so it's all good. I mean, this always happens. Shall we go on? I was waiting for Bronny James to go to the Wizards. I was waiting for that. It always happens. I saw a narrative with Luke McCaffrey. I think we need to give him time. I totally agree. But you said it. The name is there, so he's got some expectations on him. I see.
I mean, you can see the whole San Francisco 49ers type of influence, which is a good thing because they've been playing in the last couple weeks of the season for a minute now. So they're not going to draft Luke McCaffrey just because of his name. Adam Peters actually sees something that he can use with him, and we'll see what happens. We'll see.
Tim Hasselback. We ain't had Matt. We had Tim. I'm just saying the list goes on, Lou. It's a trend.
Hey, shut up, man.
Where's Keith Lee for the McCaffrey review, bro?
All right, you know what? Stop. Todd's got a question. Let me read Todd's question. I love how Peters is managing the resources, but with that said, 3 players in question, Terry, Allen, and Cosme, who gets extended, released, or traded by next year?
Terry, Allen,
and Cosme.
And Cosme. Who gets traded?
He said, who gets extended, released, or traded by next year?
It's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
That is.
That's a tough one. But if you want me to answer it, I think that the person who needs to show out the most out of that group would be Cosme.
Okay.
And Allen. I think that Terry, because of what he brings, I think that offense was just so mismanaged last year. There was times that we would be like, how come Terry McLaurin is only getting the ball in the third and fourth quarter? How come Jahan Dotson is on a milk carton box and you can't even find him? Some of that might have been the player, but a lot of it was the coaching, right? Yes. I think Terry's going to have a phenomenal year. I think that boy has just been ready to dog out, right?
Yes.
And Cosme, he's the because he's a Ron Rivera pick, I'm hoping for the best. But out of the linemen, we all said that he was the best one.
Yeah, he's good.
So that's a tough question that in August of this year, that's a tough question to answer. I can't really. Can we freeze that?
We freeze that. I think we can freeze
that question because I don't want to think like I'm dodging questions because I know
we freezing that one.
Can we freeze that question and bring it back in October and November?
I agree with that. See how it plays.
I really think that those are three really, really good names.
Green Turtle. We'll answer that at the Green Turtle with you, Lou.
Yeah, I need some time. I need some time. It's not so clear cut with any one of those three players.
Lou don't duck no smoke.
Because I don't know how Adam Peters is thinking about any of them.
It's true.
AP.
Deep down inside, he might not feel that led on any three of them. Just don't know. We just don't know. So I do want to answer that though. I do want to answer that. I just can't do it in August.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Is that fair?
That's fair. That's definitely fair.
And who's the person who asked that?
My man Taj. Taj asked.
Tell Taj to bring that back. Bring that back later on, Taj. I want to think about that for a second.
Yeah, Taj, we're gonna run that back. All right.
In person, Taj, run it back to you, Black.
I want to run that back.
Ray, you got the next one, Ray.
I do.
Yeah.
Is that about Jahan?
No, it's not about. Practice squad.
Wow.
Practice squad.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Wole, you got the practice squad. You gonna pull it up?
Yeah, I got you, Robert.
Which of these players, Lou? I apologize. Which of these players has an opportunity you feel like to make the actual roster during the regular season?
So, let me pull up that practice squad. You got it on there?
Yeah, it's strolling around.
Down bottom the ticker.
On the ticker, but you can pull it up.
Yeah,
we grew up with the ESPN Sports Center.
Yeah, we got the ESPN thing going on right now.
We got ESPN News popping off up in here.
Yeah, we are.
So,
we got Kaz Allen on there. I know it's some notables. Kaz Allen, Cole Turner.
Kaz Allen might break through and see something because they liked him last year, and now that they have him around this year, something tells me that I don't know if it's that running back or in the kicking game. I have no idea. I also see that maybe an Andre Jones Jr. For depth somewhere. Those two receivers, I thought that Bryson Tremaine and Mitchell Tinsley, I thought that they had respectable moments in camp. So maybe again, that depth that we're talking about. But I'm thinking if all the wide receivers stay healthy, those two probably will be down on my list. But I do feel that Kaz Allen is one of those people that I think maybe in the special teams game or kicking game or something like that could spell some people. I do like that running back room though. I do like that running back room. Eckler and B-Rob. I like that running back room.
You like McNichols? You like it's McNichols, right?
Yeah, I think he's a good change of pace. I mean, I think that the two-headed monster right there is going to be, Eckler and B-Rob. And I think B-Rob catching stuff out of the backfield is going to be something that we're going to like. We're going to like a lot. So,
barring injury, we're not wishing injury, but who do you think would be if B-Rob gets banged up and Eckler has to be running back one or vice versa, who do you think's called up? That'd be the next running back called up because Cass. Cass. Think it'll be Cass.
I think Cass could get some time.
All right, over Chris Rodriguez.
Chris is falling. Like,
okay.
I just I don't know what's up.
Okay,
I don't know what's up. I was high on him.
I like him too. I like
all of these practice squad. There's nobody here on the practice squad that I don't like. Mm-hmm. You're asking me questions, hypothetical questions that I'm trying to answer, and I'm thinking that Kaz Allen is one of those people that his name has been popped around a lot. That he may be one of those people who jumps through. Gotcha. But the competition is there. Kaz Allen and Chris Rodriguez, they're going to be battling out on the practice squad.
Facts. So true.
You know, there's battles going on in the practice squad.
Practice. Talking about practice.
I mean, what's there not to love about that?
We talking about practice.
Right.
I love practice. Not a game. Practice.
So can I be truthful?
Yeah.
Please.
When Cole Turner was drafted, I had high hopes for him.
Me too.
I really, really thought the fact that they took an undrafted free agent over him in the tight end thing, that's basically saying, look, you just weren't good enough. I hope that's a wake-up call. And again, these people could be snatched for other teams too.
Good question, Mike.
So
wow.
I'm not seeing this when you see it, so you guys are reacting. I ain't reacting.
Oh, my bad.
I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you right now.
Question, wow. So he's like, wow, and I'm like,
I don't want to block your image.
Where is it? Where is the question?
There you go. Here's the question.
I can't touch it no more for now. You know, I got an iPad right now. So.
Ooh,
yeah,
Mike. This is Mike's second question that I like.
Yeah.
Green turtle.
Hey, you stick. You got stock in the green turtle?
No, we can't do Jaspers. You know, they ain't trying to fight.
Stop, man. Stop, bro.
I know that this is what I can say. I know that when Josh Harris spoke to the media before the game, this is of utmost priority for him, and he has search firms and things of that nature. I don't know who is the leader in the clubhouse per se, so I can't really answer that one either. I feel bad because I really don't know, but it's the Josh Harris ownership group. If I can kind of pivot away from actual field onto the ownership group, I'm very, very optimistic and impressed. I mean, just the fact that the owner of a football team in Washington, D.C. talked candidly to a collective group of media members is amazing to me. So to hear Josh Harris actually speak and answer questions, it was phenomenal. It was surreal. Like the last owner was dodging people and was only speaking to, media partners, but he talked to everybody. And he talked about how important it was to get the GM and the head coach and then the president. Man, Mike, that's a great question. I can't really answer. I don't know who they're thinking of. I know they have some search firms going on. I love how Josh Harris actually thanked Jason Wright for the year that he was in service. Again, when an owner comes in, he's going to be picking his own people. But the fact that he kept Jason around for a year, right, and had him go through that's could have fired him right away, or he could have done a lot of things right away. They got this team a couple of weeks before training camp started. They had to sit there and eat it and just take it all in, all of it that they didn't want to. From the stadium to on the field to everything, they had to sit there and just bite their tongue and bite their lip and just say, you know what, we got to let this play out. And part of that was doing right and making sure that certain people were in place. But that president is going to be huge. I can say that. In his eyes, he said three things that he had to get right as the owner: the GM, the head coach, and the president.
My man Dandon He said, wouldn't mind having Bob Myers as the president of the team.
I wouldn't either, but do you think he's actually going to leave the space where he's at right now?
Yeah, I don't think so.
TV?
I don't know.
The basketball commentary space.
Yeah, and I don't. It's about having a basketball dude doing. And I don't know. It's different. I know he did a great job with the Warriors. I'm not an awesome job, but it's a different. I don't know. It's hard.
It may not translate. You don't think
one dude from another sport to a next sport. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, but I mean the skill sets they transcend. I mean, if you could do it in one sport, you could do it in another sport. I mean, he had him on the consulting route.
Yeah,
I've seen Bob Myers actually out at the park. He is good friends with Adam Peters. I mean, I wouldn't hate it, but I just don't know if he wants to leave what he's doing at ESPN or whatever to be in one place. I think he likes where he's at. But I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate the Bob Myers because of, I mean, if you can build, you can build. And I'll say this, we have our own example here in this area. Joe Jackson Gibbs is in the Hall of Fame in two different sports.
You know what?
I told you.
Two different sports. He is in the Hall of Fame in NASCAR, and he's in the Hall of Fame in the NFL. If you can lead men, it doesn't matter what the sport is, right? We have our own example right here. Would you really say that, well, Joe Gibbs is a football coach. Look what he did in NASCAR. He's in the Hall of Fame. So it can be done. If you can understand how to build organizations and how to lead men and how to figure things out, I don't think the sport really matters. It's the men, it's the people, females, or whoever's playing. It's whoever's the product. How do you get them motivated? How do you get people to work together? How do you achieve excellence? And I don't think the sport really matters.
True.
If you find a good person, it's almost like, defense travels, talent travels. You should be able to, at that point, if Josh Harris is picking Bob Myers to be on his search team for an NFL coach and he's a basketball whatever, then that means that Josh Harris respects his mind that whatever the sport is, he'll be able to advise on who the best talent out there would be, right? So that's two different sports right there. So just the fact that name is coming up, I wouldn't dismiss it totally. I just don't know if he wants to leave. I think he likes popping in, hey, how you doing? And then going back to whatever, the basketball thing.
Yeah, I mean, ESPN is paying him well. So Taj has another question. Besides Martin, most of our safeties have the same type of skill. That safety linebacker hybrid playing close to the line of scrimmage. Did we make a mistake keeping Forrest and Owens?
Defoe's got to show me something. Defoe's got to show me something. Again, these aren't Dan Quinn's guys, so Defoe's got to show me something. I don't know if it was a mistake, but I asked Mitch, I asked a bunch of people out there, what do you think of Defoe? And they like him, but no one said they loved him. They like him, but no one really said they loved it. They're in love with Defoe. So I mean, Owens, I mean, again, if you're going to have an undrafted free agent, you got to think that Dan Quinn and Adam Peters really are high on Owens. So, but Defoe has had history here. So it's almost like, is that his ceiling? Before he got hurt, is that the best Defoe that we're going to see? Or is there going to be a next level? So those two players that was in there that Taj said, I think the one that you could say that, did we make a mistake or whatever, it could be like, I'm rooting for Defoe. I hope he can stay healthy and I hope he can prove us all wrong. But right now, I don't think that I think there's a strong like, but not a love.
All right, you got another question from Ken. Kenton Lou, how would you define a successful season this year?
A successful season would be not losing games because of stupidity. A successful season would be keeping your quarterback healthy. And a successful season to me, again, this team won 4 games last year. If you can win 6 or 7, I think that would be success for me. A lot of people are saying, 8-8 and 8 and whatever. I wouldn't be mad with winning 6 games in the first year with the Dan Quinn, Adam Peters era. I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad. I would want more, but I wouldn't be mad too because, again, it's the NFL still, and you got a lot of things you need to still figure out. So success to me is how they play games. That's going to be a success to me, how they play games, clock management, time management, offense, defense, special teams, all that stuff. You're going to be in football games. That's going to be the test for me. I'll be like, yeah, wow, you lost that one. But the way they were losing games last year made people throw stuff at the television. I mean, people weren't even able to watch. I think this team is going to be a team that you're going to at least be comfortable watching to the very end, every single game. And that's success for me. People not turning off the television and actually watching the maturation of this quarterback with whatever he's going to go through, the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of the season. That's going to be fun for me. So that's going to be success for me.
Could you see this quarterback? You talk about the quarterback and how much you like this quarterback. Can you see him having like that 2012 type of season? Or is it just like a rookie, or it would just be like, oh, will he go through the regular rookie year?
No, I mean, this boy can sling it. There's nothing going to be regular about this kid. Nah. I don't know I'm not saying he's going to be Stroud. I'm not saying he's not going to struggle. Cliff Kingsbury is going to be a big, big part of this whole thing. He's got to be able to put him in positions that he's going to be successful. So I'm going to be watching Witt, and I'm going to be watching Kingsbury just as much as I'm going to be watching these players. That offensive and defensive coordinators, they're going to be just as much a part of this success as the actual player. Because, Kingsbury was supposed to be this guru, that has worked with all these quarterbacks. Well, he should be able to work with Jaden Daniels on what he does good. And, it should be a special year. Phenomenal. I'm not going to go ahead and say that. Special. The kid is just special. I mean, you saw the throw against the Jets. He checked out and it was effortless for me. He's having fun. He's smiling and everything like that. Again, for the first time since I've been in Washington, this is over 22 years now that I've been covering the burgundy and gold. 22 years. This is the first time with that position that I can remember that the owner, the GM, the head coach, and the offensive coordinator all wanted the same guy. There's always been like one person, the Shanahans didn't want McNabb or didn't want this, and there's always been that Jason Campbell, some people wanted him and whatever. Those 4 people, first of all, those 4 people always haven't existed with Washington because there was a big void of a GM for a long, long time, right? We had presidents and Bruce Allen, and we had Vinny Serrato, and this is now a GM and a head coach and an owner who has empowered the GM to do what he needs to do, which is so refreshing because now Josh Harris is dealing with the stuff that ownership group should be dealing with. Fan experience, the stadium, righting the horrible wrong with that whole Sean Taylor debacle, things of that nature. That's what they're now concentrating on, retiring Darryl Green's number the right way, announcing it before the draft, giving people months to prepare to actually celebrate one of the, if not the greatest Washington Redskin of all time, instead of doing it a week before the actual event, right? That's what ownership needs to be doing. So now, because of the GM there and because of other things on the football side, you can now take all that into consideration. And that's what is the exciting part of all of this.
Awesome. Hey, folks in the chat, if you have a question for Lou, you can put Lou and then question. That way I know it's definitely a question for Lou rather than just a conversation. Taj has a question for you, Lou. Taj has stadium talk. Realistically, I see the team staying in PG County. Too many political hurdles with DC and VA as well. As well. VA. I mean, have you heard any news with that?
Well, the news that obviously that Josh Harris shared with us, it's personal for him. He would love to have that stadium back in DC, but Taj, you're right. There's a lot of stuff there. And even the fact that the mayor gave all that money to Ted Leonsis, I don't know how much money is going to be left to play with the Commanders if they wanted to do anything in DC. So I know that Westmore his star is on the rise in Maryland. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that there's talks there. I don't know how close to the DC area that you could do something in Virginia. I mean, the news that I have is that there's a lot, the owner has heartstrings and wants it to be in DC, but at the end of the day, with everything that Taj just said, I think that Maryland, don't count Maryland out. Mm-hmm. Don't even count out that plot of land that they're on right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't count out them moving it, don't count out them retrofitting and doing some stuff in there, because listen, they don't want to just build a stadium. They want to build a complex where NBA All-Star games, Olympic stuff, all the stuff. Look, the World Cup is getting shut out of Washington, D.C. because FedEx Field is just not ready. But in Philly, at Lincoln Financial Field, when that World Cup for soccer comes, they're going to be playing games there. They're going to be playing games in Atlanta. They're going to be playing games in New England. They're going to be playing games all over the place, but they skip DC because the stadium's not right? So they got to get this right, and it's not just going to be for football. They want to make this thing big. SoFi, he talked about it. Josh Harris talked about how he went to SoFi. He's been to some English Premier League team sites. I mean, Josh Harris, they're doing their due diligence, and I don't know if there's space in DC for what they really trying to do.
Nah, Virginia makes sense.
What you gonna do? Like, tear down Langston? There's no more. There's room. There's just real estate issues there that I think Maryland has a good beat on it because it's there already. They can. Yeah. But that's going to be his number one priority, but he wants to wait till after we get out of the election, because he talked about lame duck sessions and how anything that you try to push through now, you don't know where it's going to go. So this election is big for a lot of reasons. So, but this Northwest field or Northwest Stadium was an 8-year deal. For the next 6-7 years, it's Northwest Stadium. But to be quite honest, if this team is winning, nobody's gonna care.
Agreed.
Nobody's gonna care. If this team is winning, nobody's gonna care. But what I do like is that he talked about it being people coming to your house, and the stuff that the media was able to see. And the stuff that I posted, I
saw your post.
I actually appreciate the fact that they put all that work into a building that, they still have to inhabit for the next 6-7 years or whatever. And he said he's not done. He's looking to do more with Northwest Stadium. Ray, why are you shaking your head like that?
It's the name.
There was a comment in the chat earlier about the food. Somebody said it needs to be hot. And I saw some people sampling food. But corn dogs just ain't our thing, Lou. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to go into I'm not gonna go into all that right now. I'm not gonna go into culture, but I'm just saying you gotta make sure that you do it right. And it sounds like you saying that he's doing his due diligence. And corn dogs ain't it. I saw like that was one of the feature items as part of the experience where you can see the team walking through the tunnel. We gotta work on that, Lou.
I mean, give the man. I say this is one time I would say give this ownership group an honest chance to change perception.
Oh, I will.
Because again, they didn't have to do anything. They could just keep it the way it is, and just let's work on the field and on the product on the field. But if again, for every move that you're going to make, there's going to be somebody pissed that you didn't do more or that it fell, whatever. So
it's never going to please everybody. I agree with that.
But again, the fact that they're trying and the fact that they are actually, you do see changes. It's brighter. The common areas, there's more brightness there. There's just stuff that was dingy and dark throughout at least the places where I inhabit, through the press box and things of that nature that have changed now. So again, it's year one. They couldn't do anything last year. This is year one. All they had to do was sit there and take it, right? They had to take it all because they had to sit there and assess. This is the first year of the assessment of the Josh Harris ownership group. And in that first year, they've hired a head coach, they've hired a GM, and they've made changes to the football edifice. Let's give them some time. Give them some time. I think that they've earned it.
I agree. I'm not a fan, so I'm more objective than most. However, the game day experience is important to fans of every franchise in this league and every sport really, because I think if the sports complex comes to fruition, I don't care if it's in Virginia, I don't care if there's extra traffic in there, people are going to show up, even if they're not a fan of the Commanders. So the reach is going to be beyond just the normal DC fan base, which for the Commanders is huge, by the way. And re-engaging the community has been great. I like what they're doing. The trajectory is heading this way, Lou. I'm with you. I just don't like corn dogs, brother. That's all I was saying. That's why I shook my head. But a lot of questions for you in the chat.
Yeah, and I got a question. Actually, you mentioned one earlier. You mentioned about the politics playing a part with the stadium and whatnot. So Mike said, why do you feel that Josh Harris thinks it's best to wait after the presidential elections to start back in dealing with the RFK stadium and not before?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying he's dealing it before. I just think he's saying it's getting caught up in he's addressing it, but there's only so much you can do with politics in Washington, D.C. So, I mean, I'm not saying his exact words were that a lot of it is probably going to end up not being able to be pushed through or not even be able to address until after the election. So again, they're working on it, but I just don't know. Again, that's a world that's totally over my head and different for me. But I do know that he's got to play ball with some people, and I don't know if they're even willing to do anything until after the election. So it's not like he's not trying.
Yeah.
But again, if they're not reciprocating and saying, well, we got to wait, whatever, you got to be a smart business person as well. But he did mention to the media that this is personal for him. He understands. He talked about RFK and he talked about the shaking of the stadium, and he talked about his moments growing up. So it's on his radar. And if he could do it, he'd put it in DC first. But he's, even with all his money, he's still got to, work with other people that are political, that he might not want to wait, or he might not be able to have his dream or whatever. He did mention that he had I don't know if anybody can get the audio of his entire briefing with the media, but if you can somewhere,
it's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. You should
Commanders post. They actually streamed that live, so I watched it.
You should,
and he's serious about it.
Everybody should take a listen to all of Josh Harris's comments to the media from Sunday pregame before the Patriots. That will answer a lot of the questions that are coming up, especially the one that was just asked about the RFK site. They're actually looking at it, but there's been some stalemate stuff there.
My man Deluxe question said thoughts on is it domed? You saying dome? Yeah, Dome Stadium at RFK site and team HQ Hall of Fame and practice facility 7 miles away from away on Landover site keeps both Maryland and DC involved. Excuse me. I'll pull up.
Okay, I think you froze on them. You froze for a second. Yeah. Lou,
okay, so
I think a dome stadium are definitely in play. I don't know too many stadiums now that are not domed. At least the new ones that are coming out. I mean, just think about all of them. The one in Minnesota, the one SoFi, the one in Houston. I mean, yeah, the one in Atlanta. I think that the dome part of it has got to be a big part of this experience or what they're actually doing, so they can attract other things. A Super Bowl, they tried it in New York. It was they got it because they got a new stadium. But would you really want a Super Bowl in Washington, D.C. in February in an outdoor stadium? So again, I think a dome is definitely the other part. Could you pop that question back up again?
Sure, I got you. Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on the dome stadium at RFK site? I don't know if it's going to be the RFK site. I really, really want to just temper people that I don't know. And then he said, okay, and the team headquarters, Hall of Fame, and practice facility 7 miles away on Landover site, keeping both Maryland and DC involved. That's interesting. I don't know if they're leaving Ashburn, though. It's near Dulles. I just feel that. But that's that could work. The RFK site kind of gives me pause, though. I don't think that there's going to be enough.
Oh, not enough there.
Yeah.
Not for a complex. Nah, Virginia makes sense. It's just do the people want it in Virginia?
It ain't gonna happen in Virginia. I can already tell you that. It ain't going to Virginia. They're not going to Virginia.
Nobody knows where they're gonna go.
I ain't trying to have them go to Virginia.
The scenario is you.
Exactly.
I know I'm selfish since I don't know what I know who I am. I own that.
You. If they build in Virginia and the team is winning, they'll go to Virginia. If they build,
I do agree with that. If they win, it don't really matter.
Doesn't really matter.
It don't matter.
It doesn't really matter. And quiet as kept. The name didn't even matter until they started losing.
I know. I know.
When they were hosting, when Joe Gibbs was putting up Lombardi trophies, do you think anybody really cared about the name?
Now that's real talk.
Hey Lou, we've had this discussion in the past. We've had heated discussions on past shows about this. Ray and I.
I know this. At some point, they are going to address that commander's name. I don't think that the ownership group wants to keep that name in perpetuity. But in the meanwhile, if they're winning football games, go Commanders.
HTTC. What a shame.
It's raised hell now, bro. It's not. It's raised hell. It's not even HTTC.
Man, how the stars are falling.
All right, so we mentioned Jahan Dotson earlier, so let's get to it. The Commanders traded wide receiver Jahan Dotson and a 5th-round pick to the Eagles in exchange for a 3rd-round pick and 2 7th-round picks. What were your thoughts initially when you heard the news?
I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised. You could see with body language and a bunch of stuff that it just wasn't working out here for him. And then that first game against the Jets, when he was playing late into the game where other wide receivers were sitting, I think that the new change of scenery, because now he doesn't have to be that number 2 receiver, right? They got Brown, they got Devontae Smith, they got Dallas Goedert. All he has to do is play the slot, which he should have been doing here more. and he's from Penn State. He's from that area. So it's a change of pace. Him and Saquon Barkley from that area going to play for the Eagles. Again, trading him in the division, again, wouldn't been my first, but who knows? We'll never know. Maybe Howie Roseman was the only one that even offered him a deal.
Yeah, maybe.
And he took it. Maybe that's what. Maybe the reason why is because of all I just said with him being close to home, being Penn State. Maybe Howie Roseman was the only one that was willing to be a trade partner. And Adam Peters said, "Hey, look, I'm going to try to get something for this player, package it, But at the end, I think it was a great wake-up call for the entire room that, hey, look, no one is above competition, and it just looked like the competition. He wasn't their player. He wasn't their type of player. He wasn't their type of player. And now when that happened, and now you see where they got Martavius Bryant, and now where you see they got Noah Brown, they were looking for a taller receiver to stretch the field. They have their Luke McCaffrey to be kind of like that Jahan Dotson or what have you. They have those shifty players, and they're more of their players than Jahan was, because obviously Jahan was Ron Rivera's pick. So
there you go.
And I wish him well. There are a lot of players that have come and gone through here that I'm like, you know what? I wish that player well. And Jahan Dotson's one of them. He didn't do nothing. He didn't do nothing that made me think that, you know what, this guy is a problem or a cancer or whatever like that. I enjoyed every conversation with him.
Yeah. I meant to ask you, for you, why
Ray is smiling too much. There's something going on. What is Ray smiling?
He reading the chat. That's what.
Okay. I can't see the chat. How come I can't see the chat?
It's because it's what I want to show. You know what I mean?
Urban. Come on,
it's what I want to show. Some of the stuff, if they cursing, I'm not going to show it.
Okay. That's why
it's what I want to show.
I'm not the
as
president.
long as they're not cursing at me.
They're not cursing. Hey, real talk, Lou. They love you.
Oh nah, Lou. Yeah, you getting a lot of love, Lou.
You get a lot of love, Lou.
See, I feel like I'm on the show like this.
Nah, Lou. I would not. Hey, Lou, if you weren't getting love, I wouldn't even mention it. Lou, you getting a lot of love now.
Hey, Lou, I'm laughing at Eric and Wole's back and forth about Virginia. That's what I'm laughing about. but what's wild about Jahan Dotson is this. I know you interviewed him, Lou. And I just gave the Commanders love because their social media team is doing a great job with Commanders YouTube, like their live streaming press conferences. I get to hear your questions, Candy's questions, people that I actually follow. So that's dope. But also the day before Jahan Dotson was traded, the Commanders had him mic'd up, which I think was recorded maybe a couple weeks before, but still they actually had that posted on YouTube, and they traded him the next day. And I'm like, what the heck? He seemed happy. His teammates seemed like they were loving him, and he was excited about being mic'd up. How do you go from that to the next day you're going to a division rival that is already loaded and is probably your biggest threat?
Because, again, Adam Peters is playing chess while other people are playing checkers, He don't care that people are mic'd up. He doesn't even care. He doesn't even care about the NFC East. He came from the West, right? So he don't
Northwest.
That stuff don't mean. Basically, Adam Peters and Dan Quinn are saying we are going to build this roster in our own image. We don't care the player, and we don't even care where we send them. We don't care. They don't care. So the timing might have been off, but that's for the fans. A lot of this stuff, these people that are football minds, they're on a higher level, man. They don't care and I like that. Because for the most part, we were just like questioning people's moves, and then weeks later, we're still questioning the people's moves. That Jahan Dotson thing happened, a week ago? People have moved on, people have moved on. We wish him well, and it's not like the first time where people have gone from one team to another in a division, whether by trade or by free agency. I mean, Deshaun Jackson was here, and then he was in Philly. Zach Ertz is here. I mean, who else is
McNabb.
Carson Wentz? I mean, it's just, at some point, it's like, whatever.
Yeah, but when they come here, they're not a threat. But Lou,
now Deshaun was. Don't do Deshaun was a threat.
Okay. I'm talking about the team itself.
They went to playoffs with Deshaun. I just stopped you right there again. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Defend your squad, brother. I love.
Yeah, with Deshaun. One thing I would not do is Deshaun slang. Deshaun was that dude.
I like Deshaun. Deshaun was that dude. Quarterback. He still did his thing here.
Yeah.
So Paul had already mentioned how Jahan sounded like a bitter ex when he kind of had his presser. I didn't agree with that. Neither did Wole, but he said on being traded to Philly is completely different. They have different standards, different ways of doing things. Did you have an issue, Lou? And this is the last question we're going to have on Jahan Dotson. And we're going to be like you, Lou. We're going to move on.
Yeah.
Did I have an issue with what?
With what he said about it's different in Philly, basically.
It is different in Philly.
That's what I was saying.
Where's the lie?
Exactly.
It is different in Philly.
They do cheesesteaks, and
it is different in Philly. Baby. I mean, it is different in Philly. They got questions to answer with their head coach Nick Sirianni. Is he the real deal or whatever? But that's a talented football team.
Yeah.
They got talent everywhere. It is different. It is different. This team now here in Washington is now got somebody who is now going to put them in a conversation that sooner or later people are going to say it is different in Washington now too, right? Mm. So right now, if you're thinking about it, you got to put Washington as, maybe the second or third best team in the conference. I mean, in the division, right? They won 4 games last year.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia imploded at the very, very end, right? But at the very beginning of the season, in the middle of the season, they were cooking on all cylinders, tush, push, and all. They was getting it in. People, I'm obviously I'm from that area.
Yeah.
So I have people who are in my ear telling, with a lot of expletives, how they were so disenfranchised with what happened. But Jeff Lurie told Nick Sirianni, you're going to have to fire some people. And he did, right? So I'm not sold on the people that they brought in. So Kellen Moore and Nick Fangio, I don't know if they're going to be automatic fixers. But the culture and what Philadelphia is doing, they are different.
Mm-hmm.
They are different. Howie Roseman's been doing some stuff for a minute, y'all.
Yeah.
And Jeff Lurie has made the mistakes. I'll never forget. How you let this is how I know that it is different in Philadelphia. Jeff Lurie made a huge mistake giving Chip Kelly total control of that football team, right? He got rid of Deshaun Jackson. He got rid of Shady McCoy. He got rid of Jeremy Maclin. He destroyed that football team, right? Not only did he destroy that football team, he went to San Francisco and destroyed that football team too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Lurie said, I apologize. He took it. He reinstated Howie Roseman. He got Doug Peterson. And within 3 or 4 years, that team that was just dismantled won the Super Bowl, right? It's a different, they've gone through whatever, right? And so it is different up there. They're doing things. And it's now good to know that Washington has the ability to do some stuff now too, because Adam Peters, he can play those games, Ron Rivera wasn't able to play those games. With Ron Rivera, whoever was in the room, the league just wasn't. Ron was great for what he had to endure here with the name change and dealing with all that. He wore too many hats, but at the end of the day, it was time to move on. And the new ownership group wasn't gonna. But the answer to the question is, with Jahan Dotson wasn't telling no lies. It is different in Philadelphia.
There's a follow-up question to that too from my
Go
man
ahead.
Deluxe. He said, did he necessarily mean Philly's better, or did he just mean that it's just different because it's just totally different? Do you think he meant that Philly was better?
No, it's different.
So you thought like, all right, different, just different.
I think it's different.
Okay.
It's different. They are also better too. in the skill positions, they have Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Right? They have AJ Brown. They got now Saquon Barkley. You can say what you want about him.
Devontae Smith. They got Devontae Smith.
Yeah. I agree.
They
but the
stacked.
DMV is loving. They are loving Jaden Daniels here. They think he's the best QB in the division already. So it's gonna be fun to watch.
Jaden Daniels?
Yes, people believe it. I'm telling you.
I mean,
Lou, you said you had like Lou. What are they saying? I mean, have your folks talked about Jahan in Philly? In terms of the vibe? Yeah, have they talked about him?
Every last one of them said thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm interested in that. Okay.
Absolutely. He fits exactly what they're looking for, is that slot receiver. And there's no pressure on him because Brown and Goddard and Smith, they're going to be the targets. Jahan has he can just go in there and do his thing. Literally, both my brothers-in-law and a couple of my frat brothers, my line brothers that live up there, they told me, thank you so much. So he just needed to find a new scenery, right?
That is interesting. Mike has a question for you. He says, "Do you believe the Washington Commanders will make the wild card with this team?"
Maybe.
Again, everything's got to fall right. But you know, I really, really temper people even thinking about playoffs in the first year with this this head coach and this this offensive coordinator and this quarterback. Again, man, 8 games might not even be enough this year. You just never know.
Yeah.
You just never know. But to answer the question, absolutely, they could make the wild card. They're not that bad of a team that they, but everybody's got to stay healthy. This is it's the depth that we talked about at the beginning of the show an hour ago. We talked about depth. If they can stay healthy, this particular team, if they can stay healthy in November and December, I give them a shot. That means that the offensive line has stayed intact. That means that Jaden Daniels has figured some things out. That means that Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu have done exactly what they're supposed to do, which make Allen and Payne and Jamin Davis coming off the edge. If everybody can stay healthy, and I'll tell you one player that I'm really excited to see, Mikey Sanders-Still. Oh, my goodness. I am excited to see that boy play.
You should. He's amazing. He is amazing. A lot of people think he's going to lock down Jahan, actually. That's what we're getting on the chat. And then they're going to think he's going to lock down Jahan.
Why are we worried about Jahan Dotson?
That's what folks, that's what the streets are talking about in the chat. They said Mikey going to strap down.
Hold on. Let me make sure I got my schedule here correct. We got the Bucks. We got the Giants.
Yeah.
We got at Cincinnati. We got at Arizona. We got the Browns. We got the Ravens. We got the Panthers.
Wow, man. I love
the Bears. And we don't play Philly until November. And we're talking about knocking down Jahan Dotson.
That's what they want. They want to see Mikey versus Jahan. That's what I've been seeing this in the chat.
That's not till November.
They gotta wait. That's what they want to see, though. They saying number 0 they saying like Mikey gonna shut down Jahan because he gonna be in the slot. Not Mikey gonna play nickel. And it is what it is.
Mikey shutting down Jamar Chase at Cincinnati.
You think he's going to?
I'm just saying. I mean, we have other receivers.
I know we do. I know.
I'm looking at
Marvin Harrison Jr. They got to play against Marvin Harrison Jr. He got to play against Marvin.
Yeah, there's more receivers that need to be thought about before we get to
Jahan. I know, I agree.
But hey, you know what? Knock yourself out. I don't think Jahan Dotson, again, Doc Walker told me this. If you ain't on your team, if you ain't on the team, I ain't worried about you no more.
Facts. I agree with that. Yeah.
If you ain't on the team, I ain't worried. Why are you worried about Jahan Dotson at this point? Thank you for the couple years that you were here. Move on.
I agree with that. I agree with that sentiment exactly.
Oh, Noah Brown now.
Yeah. Got Noah. You know what
All
I
right,
mean?
rest in peace. KJ Henry,
rest in peace. Ain't nobody dying, bro.
No, I'm just saying. I'm talking about the names on the show, man. There's some people saying we don't want to hear these names no more. We're gonna move on. So
we're gonna put it to bed. We're putting them names to bed.
We'll retire it.
We're retiring them.
Lou took it personal, man. I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah. Yes. I'm sorry. Then not like not the Undertaker thing, right? Rest in peace. Not the Undertaker thing.
WrestleMania. Speaking of which, that's gonna be at the new complex. In
I know, right? Hey,
I tell you what, though, I'm happy football season this year.
I'm so happy. Yeah, me too.
And not just because you get this way in September and right after Labor Day and everything. It's that we talked about it. There's adults in the room making football moves for this team that is taking him out of laughing situations into situations where the Commanders are going to be legitimate stories to talk about, right? If Jaden Daniels does what he's supposed to do and they keep him healthy, it's just going to be fun to watch, And the preseason is just so it's a loaded experience because you're not really doing everything. You're just really trying to get that 53-man roster, but now things are going to happen. So with everybody's team, Rays too.
Yeah, Falcons. So Rays Falcons.
Ray Falcons.
Yeah, he a Falcons fan.
Yeah,
Dirty Birds.
We need to have another whole urban sports scene about that team.
No, what? No, for Ray, I think we should do a Falcons show.
Well, no. They play, and it could be meaningful. It's late December. It's one of the last games of the year. Either y'all are going to be preparing for Travis Hunter, or we're going to be, battling for a playoff spot. That's what's going to happen.
December 29th.
Why? Oh, wait, talking about why would you say it that way? Why did we got to be the one? How come you can't be competing for something?
Oh, because the Falcons don't draft like normal teams, as you've seen. So I'm not. That's why I'm not putting Atlanta in the running for. Atlanta might draft Shador for all we know, and then hire Dion after that. I don't know what Atlanta does. So
yeah, Ray.
In terms of drafting, no, but with the adults in the room that Lou's been talking about,
okay, I got you.
He may be in play for a 5-6 win team. That's
if they get Travis Hunter next year, if they get bad, they do bad and get Travis. I'm all for that. I'm all for tanking for Travis Hunter. I will tank for Travis Hunter. I ain't gonna lie to you. I tank for Travis Hunter, dog.
He gonna take two people's spots at the same time.
Bro, I'm saying I would tank for Travis Hunter.
He can take the spot and St. Jude spot on the same day, bro.
Bro, he'd be the wide receiver and corner. Nah, I'll take for Travis Hunter. I won't even hold you.
Here we go. See,
you know what I mean? Hey, man. I mean, Josh Harris came from Trust the Process. They tank.
John, baby. Let's go.
They tank. That's what happens. Hey, Lou. Before we let you go, man, how can folks catch you on social media and also catch your content? You're doing great work.
I appreciate it.
I love your YouTube stuff and just your stuff that you just have on social media is just amazing. So
yeah,
how can folks catch it?
The Holder Hangout on my YouTube, and then I'm on the what is it, X now? Is that what they call it? X Holder Sports.
Yeah, y'all see it right there. I'll make sure y'all see it right there. It's right
there.
There you go.
Yeah, y'all know how to get at me.
Yeah.
I'm just I just spoke when spoken to.
So we're gonna get you back on because the chat loves you so much. We gotta get you back on.
I love you all too, man. It's just great. I mean, I'm proud. Like again, I told you offline.
Mm-hmm.
I love these particular programs that are long form where you can actually have conversations. And this is the first time I think I've been on that has a chat where I can answer some questions.
Mm-hmm.
Again, 22 years covering this team. My first year was Steve Spurrier's first year.
Sheesh.
Patrick Ramsey held out, and it was Darryl Green's last year. That's how long I've been covering this football team. It was Darryl Green's last year, and my first year was Darryl Green's last year. And so I have seen it all. And it's just great to talk about experience. So I know when I've seen something different. And it's different. It's different this year. It's not gonna always equate to wins. But again, competency on the football field, I think people are starving for that just as much as actual wins. You know, if you lose a game in the NFL with a talent that you know that is being turned around and you're still winning football games and maybe losing some football games, it's next year and the year after. I told you the first year that Adam Peters and John and Lynch and Shanahan were together in San Francisco wasn't pretty. It was that second and third year where you started to see, please, if I could implore anybody who is a Washington Commanders fan, please, I hate to be trite or whatever, follow the slogan, but please do trust the process here, because again, that's why you hire Adam. We wanted it for so long. That's why you hire Adam Peters. You've wanted it for so long. Now that you have it, let him. What they call? Let him cook. Let him do what he's doing.
Yeah, let him cook.
Shout out to the McNamara Mustangs.
I know. Do you gotta love, man? Love Lou. Go McNamara Mustangs.
Oh yeah.
My man Paul graduated from McNamara too. He talking about fighting, man. You ain't go to Duval like I did, bro. You soft, man. Let me find out.
Hey, listen. McNamara had a Olympian.
You ain't go to Duval like me, bro.
Yeah, one of the Nicole Jurgen from Great Britain. She graduated from McNamara. She ran for the Great Britain team. So, like, don't get me started on Bishop McNamara. They doing big things over Bishop McNamara.
They got my man Angelo. Oh, y'all took our girls. Yeah,
they look.
Y'all were closer to Forestville Mall. That's the best thing about y'all, bro.
What?
Got the good cookie. Y'all got the snickerdoodles if you eat those. I don't know.
Watch out. Hey, look. Watch out for Maddie McDaniels at South Carolina playing for Dawn Staley.
Oh yeah. Well, you can't argue with McNamara girls team. I mean,
no, absolutely.
They
Caden Samuels up at UConn. Absolutely. Come on. Don't get me started with that. Bro.
You ain't go to Golden Skillet, Paul. Stop. Y'all couldn't go across the street. Stop.
What?
I'm responding to the chat.
She's on the chat. See, he's doing his chat stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I apologize, Lou.
Absolutely, go Mustangs.
Say what's up to my man Angelo.
But seriously, I appreciate the platform. Again, there are a lot of questions. I hope that you tag them, because I want to come back to that as the year goes on. Because realistically, being a journalist, you got to be truthful and say, you know what? If I don't know, I don't know. But there were a couple of questions I want you to bring back, especially that one about, I think it was Terry, Allen, and Cosby. Which one? I want to revisit that one.
Yeah, we'll bring that one back.
Yeah, and I'm excited. I'm excited about seeing what this team can do. I'm excited about Dan Quinn, second shot at a head coach. He said that in his press conference that he wanted this so bad to show that, because it didn't. We know how it worked in Atlanta. We know how it worked with him and Kyle Shanahan in Atlanta.
Hey, look at Ray.
I couldn't resist Ray.
Yeah. That's a tough one. But you know what?
That hurt.
He was all right in Atlanta though. If you look at his track record, it wasn't bad though. Just that one.
No, I mean that hurt. Kyle leaving is what kind of messed Dan Quinn up. Dan Quinn had a great defense the year after Kyle left, but the offense just wasn't the same, as evidenced by a 10-9 loss in the playoffs to Philly. And Philly goes on to win a Super Bowl that season. So, man, it was different. But, Lou, yeah, we always appreciate you, Lou. And it's good, we catch you in person from time to time. That's always interesting, to see you in person. But we'll talk about that later. That's when we got to do a live show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was
come on out to Howard. Don't wait, Lou. Come on out to Howard. Season. You gonna see me at Howard this season. Come on out.
Ray covers Howard.
Well, they're gonna lose to my Rutgers Scarlet Knights. So let's just call that a loss.
Oh, that's week 1. Oh yeah, it might. We'll see. My man Larry Scott is that dude.
Are you
I'm not
rah? That's my bread and butter right there. So can't root for the Bison this week. Maybe every other week, but not against Rutgers. That's my spot.
Rutgers has a nice canvas, by the way, Lou. It's out there on the outskirts of Jersey, you know, but it's nice though. I rode through there coming from
outskirts. What's outskirts of Jersey? What you talking about?
That's the outskirts to me. You know, to me it is.
Man, you don't know what you're talking about.
I drove by Rutgers too. It's like the outskirts.
Well, they was driving there for a woman, though. That's different. You know, that's different. You don't mind driving through Cowtown, Rodeo, and all that.
Go ahead. Don't be
he do whatever it takes for love, Lou. I'm just telling you. So he gonna speak highly. I like Ruck. I said it's a nice. My man, like I'm in Allentown, PA. Why you in Allentown, PA? Well, like what's out there, bro? Like seriously, but you know what? That's another discussion. Well, they've been to the
that's a grown man's business. I can't get into it. We've all listen, we've all done it. We've all done it.
I was just outside, man. I was just outside, man. Okay. I was just outside.
But no, it was a pleasure, brothers. I appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you, Lou, man. Thank you again, man.
All right.
All right, take it easy.
Take care.
My man Paul, he came. My man Paul, that's some 8 Mile type stuff right there, Paul. You know,
Paul 8 Mile.
He went to McNamara. Remember, he was rapping on 8 Mile. He's like, you went to a private school. That's hilarious because Paul had a car too. You know, we ain't had no car, right? You was walking the Broadway class after school. I was.
Yeah,
we ain't had no cars. Paul,
I caught the Met.
We were like the McNamara kids, you know. We had to catch the bus, you know what I'm saying? T15, 16, 17.
Dude, I caught the Metro. Yeah, I don't know what
exactly.
I caught the R12.
Exactly.
The T6, you're right, T15, T16, whatever that was.
My man Paul folks like, nope, you ain't going no Suitland Metro. Not under our watch. Here's your cars. I'm like, dang, that's what's up, bro.
It's crazy. It's a dope show,
you want to
man.
go to Skillet, Paul? You don't know about the Skillet combo?
Hey, oh my God. This was a good show. We gotta close this out though.
All the people came. He said P12 hustler.
P12 hustler. Oh man.
That joint had the orange seats, Paul. What you know? That back before they redid the buses. No AC was on the buses, Wole.
Huh?
No AC. It was no AC on the buses at the
especially
time.
when it was starting raining and people were stinking up being all funky with no AC. That was terrible. That was the worst.
You was holding on to arm.
Hold on to the joint. You already know what time.
Hey, real talk though, before we close the show out, you know how I used to cover the Wizards and all that, man. We talking about round ball report and wearing a suit. I still went to Suitland Station and caught the train, bro. I still did it. Had my earphones on, folks beating their feet on the platform. I'm right there with my suit on, bro. Salute. Hey. I would never change, bro. Never
change, bro. Never change. All right, man. This is great, man. This chat was live. I like that, man. Lakers gonna be in the Hall of Fame of this chat, dog. Because everybody's comparing everybody to Lake and Lou.
Yeah, we got some new people tonight too. Thanks for pulling up.
I know. I appreciate that
for sure.
That's why Lou's the MVP, because everybody was like, man, Lou telling it like it is. I was like, dang, y'all, jeez, let the last. That was like 2 episodes ago. Y'all let that go. Like Lou said, you gotta let it go. Let it all go.
Yeah, Lou showed up. Lou showed up for the fam tonight, bro.
For real. He was awesome, man. Hey, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio. Just search the Urban Sports Scene. Also follow us on X at Urban Sports Scene, IG at Urban Sports Scene, and like our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. Ray mentioned we got some new folks in the chat, especially on YouTube. So since you're on YouTube and you new, hit that red subscribe button. Help us reach our 800 goal. And also like this video. We appreciate you all for tuning in. Also, I forgot. Check out the Urban Sports Scene on our website, which is www.urbansportscene.com. If you want to search out our podcast, our audio podcast, also on another platform, and that platform happens to be Empire Media, which is empiremedia.com. All right, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. This has been a dope show. Y'all are the real MVPs. Appreciate Lou for being on as well, because he was awesome. Anyway, you've been listening to all. So I was about to say all burger, you can go everything, right?
Wow.
Wow. You can tell, right? You've been listening to the. You can tell I've been doing too much, bro. You can tell I've been doing too many shows. Anyway, you've been listening to the Urban Sports Scene for ages. You dig? Deuces. We are out.
Peace.